Office. The competition is steep, to say the least. Getting into top universities today takes not only skill and determination, but also lots of preparation, including acing standardized tests. It's big business. Our next guest made a name for himself and created a successful company out of helping students maximize these test scores and getting into the college of their dreams. Scott Farber is the founder and CEO of A-List. He joins us now to tell us all about it and to tell us how students can perform well. Scott, welcome to Rise Exchange.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to just start with the concept of standardized tests and whether you, even though you're in the business, whether you think there is way too much emphasis on one test or two tests compared to 4 years of high school.
It's a great question, and the truth of the matter is universities don't look at just one test no matter what. The SAT or the ACT, the standardized test they use for college admissions, colleges really weigh that roughly equally with the GPA. So in truth, it's really sitting on par with the 4 years of work. And the standardized tests, both the SAT and the ACT, aren't about content. They're really how you apply the knowledge you've gained. So while I don't love tests for test's sake, they do have a place.
Well, if I remember the SAT, and it's going back a few years, is it really about applying the knowledge you take or really about learning to take the test? Because I went to a college prep course as well.
Sure, and actually the way that we approach it is really about trying to cultivate certain skills. So it's about really reading comprehension, it's building vocabulary. It's not studying for the test, it's because if you speak English for the rest of your life, you need a working vocabulary and reading comprehension. So what we do is we actually work directly with schools so that it's not just about a 2-month test prep plan, but really how do you build better education from 9 through 12. A lot of our international expansion is built around that model, not so much a get quick score sort of prep class, but in fact, how do you really build these skills over time?
Do you think, though, that it's fair that you have prep courses for students who can afford it and come from wealthier families and those who do not and cannot?
I don't think it's fair at all. Actually, one of our missions is really to level the playing field, and 80% of the students that we work with don't pay a single dollar for what we do.
How do you do that?
So what we do is we work directly with the school districts. So we actually do professional development, and those budgets are set aside by the tax base already, so it doesn't cost the district any additional money. And then we wind up working to provide the textbooks and materials they would be using for a regular class anyway. So there's no actual cost to the students. So we're pretty proud of the fact that we work with so many schools in so many different areas without having a cost to the kids.
Okay, so tell me how you got started in this business.
You know, I was really lucky. I actually got just about a full scholarship to Harvard University. I never thought in a million years I'd be lucky enough to get in. And what I found out after I got in is it wasn't just about scores or GPA, but really about the rest of your application that shines through. I didn't understand that that's all that went into it, but I got my degree in international relations, was pretty convinced I'd become an ambassador. Shocked at 22, by the way, no one gives you that job. And after working in South America for a while, recognized that education was really the key to development. When I started looking at that and I realized how unequal the playing field was, I came back and tried to build something that was at some point going to be able to deliver on that promise of fundamental access.
And how does it differ then from the bigger names, Princeton and Kaplan, for example?
Sure, absolutely. I never want to build a franchise like a Princeton or a Kaplan. In fact, that's the opposite of what I want to do. I want to work with institutions, and both my parents were teachers. So while I never wanted to be a teacher because you don't want to be like your parents, turns out it was in the blood.
Okay.
And so we try and really partner with local communities, which I think has really also driven our expansion because we're welcomed in as partners, not as outside providers.
And when you say you're not building a franchise, does that mean every single person who you employ in these outfits basically it works for you within a company?
Well, I was going to say, it's because we work with so many teachers directly. So I've trained about 1,000 teachers inside of schools. They're really the employees of the schools delivering the class. Our international model is actually partnering with school networks. So they're, to a certain extent, really the employers of those teachers also. So we're really an IP provider.
When someone comes to you, how long does that process take then to get them prepared?
It really depends. I mean, ideally, we really start working with them over multiple years inside of the school, inside of the class day. But often when students come to us for preparation, they're beginning in really 10th grade and 11th grade, looking to get their applications ready for senior year.
All right, so some tips for students applying for college, and when do they start preparing? 9th grade, 10th grade?
I mean, it really can be at any point, but what I would really encourage them to do is listen to their parents when they say you should probably start reading. I usually tell parents, make the exchange of video games for half an hour, reading for half an hour. Try and work out some kind of deal, but the vocabulary is important at a young age. Reading is definitely at a young age. When we take a look at hardcore preparation, which is taking the tests, that's really something you don't want to overdo. Students burn out, so we look at 11th grade really for that time.
Okay. Scott Farber, CEO of A-List.
Thank you so much.
Very interesting. Coming up, imagine bad-mouthing a colleague to the whole world on Twitter. Our favorite person of the day is next here on the Rise Exchange.